It is about you. You are the selling point, and the landscape is changing. So be your authentic self because no one wants to go to work being miserable all day. Look at your own resume, look at your own LinkedIn, and look at your impact and what you have provided for that other company. And if you write things in that context, you're going to talk to the next employer.
In my opinion, it's about giving the customer what they really want and just blowing their mind once they get it. And that's what I really love to see, honestly.
Get people to do more of home cooking, home cooked meals, healthy meals, so we can all live long and happy.
I'm very proud to be a mom because, not for nothing, women are amazing.
Oh my God, the sacrifice, and how we make it look so easy.
I was just telling Joanne before we got on the call, I said, I had to run from my daughter's school. They had an Easter egg hunt. I said, all right, Mom, I gotta go to work. But, you know, just as moms, we make it happen, you know, supernatural abilities. We are the example for them, you know, and I know that with them being a better version of us.
You have to try. You never know how creative you are until you try. Because I didn't think I was creative. I found my creative side during a horrible time in my life.
Struggling with how to manage your small business? We've got the right tool for you. AR Business Expansion. It is the right site to get started on your business plans. It's an integrated digital toolkit for users to utilize better scheduling, automation, and decrease the extra workload. You can join now with a 7-day free trial and continue to use the app for only $24 a month. This simple toolkit will help promote your business to a larger audience. Its CMR tools, smart booking system, and scheduling will save you hours, and it's all in one system. Connect your organization to AR Business Expansion now to grow your social media platforms while juggling busy customers.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday, everyone. It is August and the kids are back in school here in Georgia. So I'm super excited because it's been a long 2 months. I know in New York, a lot of you are still in summer mode, summer vacation mode. So kudos to you all. But I was super ready, and now I could do my lunch and learns without having any background noise, any people, Mom, what you cooking? What's going on? What we doing today? All of that stuff happening. So I'm really excited and I'm thankful to just be present with you all on today. And today, y'all just got me. Y'all just got all of me. We're going to talk about some really cool things, share some information, some, I hope, aha moments for a lot of you, because this has been a topic that I've been actually doing some traveling and some speaking engagements talking about the Juneteenth flag. And so this year was very important for me to be able to share about the Juneteenth flag because, well, for a number of reasons, right? So a couple of years ago, when Juneteenth first became a national holiday, I was attacked. And a lot of people don't know this. I don't share it very often, and I guess I should. And this is where I would, utilize this space to share something like that, right? I was attacked. A number of individuals had created a website essentially attacking me as an individual because I was talking about Juneteenth. Now, I'm not really sure of the contents of the background, but the premise of the attacks were social. So they were spamming me on social media. And like when famous people sit there and they talk about how they would get attacked or how people are harassing them and all of these things. And I'm like, oh, it's probably not that serious, but it's a real thing, right? People were definitely reaching out to me, sending me messages, sending me screenshots of like my family, like all kinds of stuff. And I'm very transparent. I like to share a lot about who I am as an individual for people to get to know who I am, get to know my family, my husband, my children. Like we are a public family, and I'm very aware of that and also very protective of that as well. So when these started to show up, it was like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And a lot of it centered around a miseducation of what Juneteenth was. And it caused me to further dive into more history for myself, right? To be able to really share and truly understand what Juneteenth was and what I was representing. I had been representing this organization for, at the time, maybe 13, 14 years. And now we are at 16 years of representing. And every year I go deeper. Every year I do more research and I find out more. I am not just the CEO and the founder of Juneteenth NYC. I really want to embody it and I want to be able to share the information with others. And so one of the things that I continue to see was the fact that the Juneteenth flag was never being represented. It was the Pan African flag that was being represented. So today we are going to talk about the differences between the flags, and we're also going to talk about where there are commonalities and how we as an African American people can work together and not separate so that we can achieve our goals. And to tell you, if we do not work together, we are destined for doom. Okay. And we are not those type of individuals. We are a group of people who are destined for greatness, and we have to work together in order to be able to do so. So if we can bring up the slides, and we are going to talk about the power behind the flags. And like I said, this was coming off the backs of understanding that, and then coming off the backs of just seeing how so many people are putting the wrong things up. Like people, like I need y'all to research. We got to do better. We have to do better, right? It's a new holiday, I understand, and people are still understanding and learning a little bit, and that's why platforms like this and being able to showcase and express the history behind things is so important. Let me go to the next slide, please. So, share a little bit about the timeline of freedom, right? So 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by Abraham Lincoln, and that was on January 1st. So a lot of people, there was also a lot of talks too, or why did we celebrate Juneteenth in June when there were so many other dates that surrounded that, right? Where the Emancipation Proclamation was signed January 1st. And it's like, oh, that should be the true date because June 19th really just is about Galveston, Texas. Then there was also, other dates when it was acknowledged, when the Emancipation Proclamation was actually acknowledged. So when it is signed, that is one part of it. The next part of it is to be acknowledged by all of the different states, right? And so the 13 states at the time, the colonies, they had acknowledged it. However, some of these other outlying states, Florida and all of the states towards the west, California, Oklahoma, Texas, like those are the states that did not acknowledge it. But slowly but surely, they did start to acknowledge it. And that took 2.5 years for that to happen. A lot of it because we didn't have what we have today, where we are utilizing social media, where we have TV, where we have radio to be able to get a message across to everyone in a fast amount of time. And so there was some stopgaps that had occurred, right? And so there was a time between the January 1st, 1863 and the June 19th, 1865 of when it actually got to Galveston, Texas, and when the general order individuals, the Grangers, when they got there and they basically stated, hey guys, y'all are free here. Like this is not, y'all don't need to be enslaved anymore. And so these are parts of what we continue to share, like the story. And then also lastly, talking about what it looked like when they got there. Now, I really want you to think about this, right? I want you to think about if you were enslaved and you needed to get information like passed down to you, you need to find out about what had happened or what was going on. what would you say would be the best way that you would get that information? And a lot of people don't understand how important announcements are at church. Those of you who go to church, announcements were the way to be able to communicate to the folk in the community, to let them know what was going on, what they needed to do, how they needed to move, in between learning a little bit about what the Bible was and about their faith, right? So this document called the General Order Number 3 was a document that was posted on the front of all of the churches, which gave the outline of what it meant to be free. It talked about the breakdown of what freedom looked like for those who were enslaved. So it talked about not being able to be held captive anymore, that they had to now be paid for the work that they were doing. They could not just do free labor. They had to, but it also talked about that they had to work. It also talked about they couldn't be idle. And that to me was such a big eye opener, because when you look at a lot of African Americans today, we operate in this space of I have to be doing something all the time. And we, especially in our children, is showing up a lot. We talk about it, we call it ADHD, right? And this is something that was pretty much in 1863 that was being installed in us during that time. You cannot be idle. You cannot just be somewhere. You cannot just fraternize in a space and not be making wages. You also or doing something towards production, right? So that was actually a part of this general order that was being passed down to them. So next slide, please. So we're going to show a couple of videos that are going to talk about what Juneteenth is, and then we'll go on from there into some additional things. Are we able to play the video? Maybe not. We may have to switch screens. Pardon the technical difficulties, y'all, but we're going to get it together. Let me know when you're ready. You can begin. You can play it when you're ready. I tell you, when technology works, it works, and when it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's okay too. But this is a TEDx video that we've done. And James, I can share my screen as well if I need to. Yeah, let me do that so that I can share the video, because there are a couple of videos that we need to be able to see. So I want to make sure that we can do that. Let me share screen. You got the video? Okay. Go ahead when you're ready to share it. You're not hearing the audio. The video is sharing, but I think the audio needs to be tapped into. All right, so I'm going to share then so that we can move the process along. Let me see, share screen. All right. Also share tabs audio, present. All right, so I'm gonna go to the next slide.
More than 2 centuries, slavery defined what would become the United States. From its past as the 13 British colonies to its growth as an independent country. Slavery fueled its cotton industry and made it a leading economic power. 10 of the first 12 presidents enslaved people. And when U.S. chattel slavery finally ended, it was a long and uneven process. Enslaved people resisted from the beginning by escaping, breaking tools, staging.
So I'm gonna start this over.
One day, while hiding in the kitchen, Charlotte Brooks overheard a life-changing secret. At the age of 17, she'd been separated from her family and taken to William Nealon's Texas plantation. There, she was made to do housework at the violent whims of her enslavers. On that fateful day, she learned that slavery had recently been abolished, but Nealon conspired to keep this a secret from those he enslaved. Hearing this, Brooks stepped out of her hiding spot, proclaimed her freedom, spread the news throughout the plantation, and ran. That night, she returned for her daughter, Tempe, and before Nealon's spiteful bullets could find them, they were gone for good. For more than 2 centuries, slavery defined what would become the United States. From its past as the 13 British colonies to its growth as an independent country. Slavery fueled its cotton industry and made it a leading economic power. 10 of the first 12 presidents enslaved people. And when U.S. chattel slavery finally ended, it was a long and uneven process. Enslaved people resisted from the beginning by escaping, breaking tools, staging rebellions, and more. During the American Revolution, Vermont and Massachusetts abolished slavery, while several states took steps towards gradual abolition. In 1808, federal law banned the import of enslaved African people, but it allowed the slave trade to continue domestically. Approximately 4 million people were enslaved in the U.S. when Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. Lincoln opposed slavery, and though he had no plans to outlaw it, his election caused panic in southern states, which began withdrawing from the Union. They vowed to uphold slavery and formed the Confederacy, triggering the start of the American Civil War. A year into the conflict, Lincoln abolished slavery in Washington, D.C., legally freeing more than 3,000 people. And 5 months later, he announced the Emancipation Proclamation. It promised freedom to the 3.5 million people enslaved in Confederate states. But it would only be fulfilled if the rebelling states didn't rejoin the Union by January 1st, 1863. And it bore no mention of the roughly 500,000 people in bondage in the border states of Delaware, Maryland, Kentucky, and Missouri that hadn't seceded. When the Confederacy refused to surrender, Union soldiers began announcing emancipation. But many southern areas remained under Confederate control, making it impossible to actually implement abolition throughout the South. The war raged on for 2 more years, and on January 31st, 1865, Congress passed the 13th Amendment. It promised to end slavery throughout the U.S., except as punishment for a crime. But to go into effect, 27 states would have to ratify it first. Meanwhile, the Civil War virtually ended with the surrender of Confederate General Robert E. Lee on April 9, 1865. But although slavery was technically illegal in all Southern states, it still persisted in the last bastions of the Confederacy. There, enslavers like Nealon continued to evade abolition until forced. This was also the case when Union General Gordon Granger marched his troops into Galveston, Texas on June 19th and announced that all enslaved people there were officially free and had been for more than 2 years. Still, at this point, people remained legally enslaved in the border states. It wasn't until more than 5 months later, on December 6, 1865, that the 13th Amendment was finally ratified. This formally ended chattel slavery in the U.S. Because official emancipation was a staggered process, people in different places commemorated it on different dates. Those in Galveston, Texas, began celebrating Juneteenth, a combination of June and 19th, on the very first anniversary of General Granger's announcement. Over time, smaller Juneteenth gatherings gave way to large parades, and the tradition eventually became the most widespread of emancipation celebrations. But while chattel slavery had officially ended, racial inequality, oppression, and terror had not. Celebrating emancipation was itself an act of continued resistance, and it wasn't until 2021 that Juneteenth became a federal holiday. Today, Juneteenth holds profound significance as a celebration of the demise of slavery, the righteous pursuit of true freedom for all, and a continued pledge to remember the past and dream the future. People resisted slavery in the U.S. as long as it persisted, uncovered the story of those who escaped slavery, and created a secret society in the
All right. So a lot there that I hope you walked away with. Some of which um, is the history and a little bit more understanding and why there continues to be challenges when we're talking about why we celebrate Juneteenth, right? There's a lot of contention on is it important to celebrate Juneteenth on this particular day? And it's like, at the end of the day, it's a day that we have focused on, that we've chosen to focus on, that we have giving the right to be able to utilize as the day. I'm sure when the 4th of July happened, when we were emancipated from as the United States of America, that probably wasn't the official day. Like, I'm sure there were a lot of things that went into that. So, it could be, we could talk about the days that the day that you was born versus the day that you actually got your birth certificate versus the day that you were giving your birth name, or that's your birthday. Like, there's so many things that go into it, but we identify and we hold on to that one day. And it's very similar to this as well. Do we sit there and we fight each other because we're like, oh, well, Washington, D.C., it happened then, and in Texas, it happened then, and in Newark, it happened then. And do we sit there and we fight over that? Or do we say, this is this unified day that we're all looking to focus on and that we're going to use as a day of celebration? And that is what I choose to believe for us, that we use Juneteenth as the day that we, as a conglomerate, we all come together and we say, this is the day that we want to utilize to focus on, to celebrate all of the historical days that encompass our freedom, all of the days that each of the states decided to join on, all of the states decided to then become or announce its independence and to become one, right, of what slavery meant. And so what does that look like? We talk about celebrating Juneteenth. What does a celebration look like? And just, I also want you to think back to about a time, this time, like put yourself in that, and you're in that space, and think about you're enslaved, you were in spaces where your spouse might have been taken from you, where your children might have been taken from you and sold to others in other households, some close, some farther away, some in other states. You just knew that your child or your husband or your wife was just not with you, and they were sold to another house. So imagine, what's the first thing you would have wanted to do when you found out that you were free? I know for me, I would have wanted to go find my partner. I wanted to go find my kids. I want to connect with people, my family members, my mother, if they're still alive, my father. I want to, essentially, it would look like a family reunion. And I don't know about y'all, but my family reunions, y'all, like we having one this weekend at the beach. We have one every year, and it is typically at the beach where everyone just brings food and we are barbecuing. Some of the kids, people are going out and going into the water. Others are just chilling and laying out. We playing spades, we playing dominoes, we're laughing, we're talking about stuff that happened in the past. We're talking about our year, we're talking about our business ideas or all of the things that are to come. Like that's what this Jubilee Day looked like for us during that time, right? It was a time where people were just coming together. They probably weren't playing spades or any of those kind of things, but you never know, because there were times when people were getting together to go and party and have shindig, so to speak, during that time. So that could be what was actually going on, right? But whatever that is, this is what we want. We're talking about connecting with family. We're talking about celebration and what that looks like in its truest sense. And that's what we try to encompass every year when we are doing our Juneteenth festival. That's one part of it. The other part is the education part. The other part is the upliftment part, where we are talking about what people are actually doing and being able to highlight that with our Black King celebration. And then the education with our luncheon, our virtual summit that we do, our celebration of culture, where we're talking about our fashion shows and we're bringing in that entertainment, and then our showcasing and performances, the talent. Do y'all realize that the only way that we were able to make money back then, initially, like legally, was if we were entertaining them? And so we have continued that, and that seems to be the only thing that we think sometimes that we're good at. And that's not the case. We're not just good at entertaining other people. We are good at so many other things as well. That's why we are great doctors, great scientists, great accountants, great all of the things in between, because those are the things that are that made up who we are, right? So that's what Juneteenth celebrating and the Jubilee is for that. It became a national holiday in 2021. Like I said, at that time, we were celebrating Juneteenth about 10 years. A little bit, no, that would have been our 11th year. And to be honest with you, in 2019, I was done. Like I was like, I'm done with this. Nobody knows what Juneteenth is about. Nobody cares. I'm just doing this, and it's people think it's a block party, and I'm like, no, this is not a block party. This is an educational celebration of our heritage and our history, and people just could not get it. And then it became a national holiday in 2021. And we ended up doing Juneteenth virtual. And we had 20,000 people join us, like on Zooms, and people were spamming us and all kind of craziness. But people were just joining, and people wanted to know and understand what Juneteenth was about. Some people who had experienced me or share, one of my followers on social media or just in person that attended our event, I got so many phone calls. People are just like, oh my gosh, Athenia, you started this, you created this. I was like, I didn't create this. Like, this wasn't all me, but thank you for thinking that it was just me. But this was a time that people really got to feel empowered, like we were the cause of the reason behind creating a federal holiday, right? And so early celebrations included church gatherings, different parades, picnics, barbecues, all of those things. And one of the things that came up when I would do some of my press interviews during the 2021 time when it became a national holiday, they would ask me, am I excited at the fact that Juneteenth became a national holiday? And I would share to them, yes and no. Yes, because it helps to heighten that this is something that they should pay attention to and that we should focus on and that we should put energy and funding and all of those things towards. And then no, because it gets watered down, and it becomes a day that people are just utilizing it just to have a day off. And I don't want Juneteenth to be just a day off for us. It needs to be a day that has meaning. It needs to be a day that we are really coming together and we're sharing and we're understanding more and going deeper. We're digging deeper to understand more about us, whether it's watching a movie that is historical, whether it's watching a documentary, whether it's getting involved in something like Juneteenth NYC, and or watching one of our virtual summits where we are talking about the things that are affecting our communities overall. All of that is what you should be doing, not just saying, oh, I'm just going to have a party, or I'm just going to utilize the name in vain, because that to me is the disheartening part, where we are telling our ancestors that they died just so that I could party. And that's not okay for me. All right, so I am going to go on to the next slide.
Hey, Flag fans, I'm Gray, and welcome back to Flag Facts. Today's show is all about the flag of America's newest federal holiday, Juneteenth. Every year on June 19th, America celebrates Juneteenth in commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States. The holiday marks the day in 1865 when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation and announce the end of the American Civil War. While the holiday has long been observed by Black communities around the country, it was not until 2021 that it became an official federal holiday. And speaking of official things, Juneteenth also has its own flag. Here it is, the official flag of Juneteenth. The design consists of a red arc that meets a field of blue. In the center of the flag sits a white 5-pointed star, which is itself surrounded by the outline of a white 12-pointed burst. The star stands for the freedom of every Black American in all 50 states, and is also a nod to the holiday's origin in the Lone Star State of Texas. The burst surrounding the star represents a nova, or a new star, on the horizon, and the arc represents just that, a new horizon of opportunity and the promise of a better future for all Black Americans. And finally, the colors of the flag represent the American flag and serve as a reminder that the formerly enslaved and their descendants are free Americans. The flag was designed in 1997 by Ben Haith, who is the founder of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation. The design was fine-tuned by illustrator Lisa Jean Graff in 2000, and in 2007, the date June 19, 1865 was added to the right side of the flag. And there you go. That's everything you need to know about the Juneteenth flag. So what'd you think? Is it a good design? Do you prefer it without the date? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to like and subscribe for more flag-related content just like this. If you're in the market for a Juneteenth flag or any other flag, head on over to flagandbanner.com for all your flag flying needs. And as always, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time on Flag Facts.
Awesome. So that is a little bit about the Juneteenth flag. Now, there's controversy around this too, right? There's always controversy. So why do you think there's controversy about the Juneteenth flag? So yes, you're right. It is controversy around the Juneteenth flag because people do not believe that it should be red, white, and blue. Why are we pushing the fact that this American flag colors? Like, why would we do that? Because Juneteenth was centered around being American. That's why. Juneteenth is the celebration of those who were enslaved here in the United States of America, and they were released. I share this in all of my talks because I want people to really take heart to this, and I want them to really understand and really embody this. We are Americans. We are just as much Americans, if not more, than the people who just came here, okay? We built America. African Americans built America. We built the White House. We built the Capitol. We built the bridges. We built everything that most of these people are living in all of these high-priced buildings. We built it. So to say that we're not American, to not claim that, to not be proud of that, to say, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with the red, white, and blue flag, is to denounce all that our ancestors have done to get us to where we're at today. And that is doing us even more disservice. So when I say I proudly represent the Juneteenth flag as its state where it is, red, white, and blue, as the American identity that I have, that is a part of me, and it needs to be a part of all of us. When we think about all of the flags, when we go to Labor Day, which is about to come up in New York City, where we are going to Eastern Parkway and we're raising flags up high, people are so excited to raise the flag of their country. And sometimes countries that they don't have no association with, just because they went and they visited that country and they loved how it made them feel. That's the flag that they want to raise because it's a holiday of the Caribbean descendants, right? And what they did and all of the contributions that they had. But there was no day for us as African Americans to be able to say, this is our day. This is the day that we celebrate all of the contributions that we've made and that we have given to this country. Juneteenth is that day. And so I encourage you to take a deep dive into to uncover a little bit more about that whole idea that we can't represent the red, white, and blue flag. We are just as much, if not more, Americans than some of these individuals who are claiming to make America great again, who are themselves people from other countries. Okay, so just thinking about that. The flag also has a star talking about Texas and it being the Lone Star. There's so much relevance in this whole idea of it being a Lone Star, and not just it being Texas, but the Lone Star idea that we of Black individuals, we are one. They're not separated regardless, even though some of us came from Africa, some came from the Caribbean, some came from here, there, everywhere. American Indians, like we are one, just like the Jamaican term, one nation, one people. We are one just the same. And so continuing to push that narrative of unity amongst us, freedom for all Black people. Bursting star, new dawn. So talking about the star, the outside of it, and how there's new beginnings. Every day we wake up is a new beginning. Every day that we held on to the future, the hope, the dreams of freedom, and to be able to see it and to live it and to experience it, and to also be in spaces where we're taking advantage of it and not even realizing it. And we're starting to realize it now with this new administration, because a lot of the things that we've worked so hard for, a lot of the things that we fought for are starting to be removed. The veil is being taken off and things are like, oh, you telling me that I no longer have access to these things that my ancestors worked hard and they died for? And it's like, yeah, because it wasn't cemented. A lot of people did not realize that, and I've just found this out. I was reading this in a document the other day, that when we did integration into the schools, that was only supposed to be temporary. That was supposed to be a test model. It was supposed to be something that we were just doing for, I think it was supposed to be a month that we were supposed to do. Or a year. I think it was a year. We were supposed to just test it out for a year. But what happened was the judge who sat over that and presided over that died. And so there was no one to then pull it back. And so it just continued and continued and continued. So that's where there is, again, going into the history and going a little bit deeper and understanding our past so that we are not doomed to repeat it. And so that we're able to make the change that we want to see and not allow the change to happen to us instead. So this next slide we're going to talk about is going to be the Pan African flag, which is what the Juneteenth flag is typically connected to, or it is, it is what is utilized as the flag for Juneteenth.
Today is the first day of Black History Month. 10 Tampa Bay's Aduria Chumba shows us how a flag unites Black communities across the globe.
It's a simple symbol with just 3 colors that have a much deeper meaning. Unity is at the heart of the Pan African flag. It represents all the different people of the African diaspora, and it is a symbol of Black freedom. The Universal Negro Improvement Association, founded by political activist Marcus Garvey, adopted the flag in 1920. Each color has its own meaning. Red represents the blood that unites all people of Black African ancestry and the blood shed in the fight for freedom. Black represents the people, and green stands for the fertility and natural wealth of the motherland. During the late 20th century, those colors became the basis for flags of newly liberated countries in Africa, including Kenya, Malawi, and Libya. To this day, the Pan-African flag is used as a symbol of unity, liberation, and the continued fight for justice.
All right. So, learning a little bit about the Pan African flag. I hope what you saw were some similarities with the flags, right? That they both carry the red, that all of the flags carry red, right? The American flag, the Juneteenth flag, and the Pan African flag. That there are elements of the Pan African flag that are totally true and relevant. And what I say to people when I'm talking about the differences between the flag is not that we are to say, oh, I'm going to only represent the Pan African flag, or I'm only going to represent the Juneteenth flag. Like, I'm definitely not saying that. What I am saying, however, is that again, we are one. Like, it is, we are all part of the same cloth, right? So the Pan African flag was created just for that same reason that I talked about earlier when we're talking about why we had nothing to represent us. There was no item, nothing to say that this is what we are. There was no representation. And so that's when Marcus Garvey came in and he created and designed this Pan African flag. And this is a flag that we have been using for years as a symbol for the civil rights movement. We've used it globally to protest all types of things, from education. We utilize it in cultural celebrations. We use it for Kwanzaa. We use it for all different spaces. And again, I'm not saying that we don't use this for Juneteenth as well. I'm saying that this is not the representation of the Juneteenth day. And so being able to identify the differences and also the similarities is what my hope is for you to walk away from this conversation on today. The Pan African flag, and I'm 100% gung-ho about this one as well, because we are actually working on a trip to Ghana. So we're going to start doing some trips to the motherland. Again, like I shared to you, every year I'm always trying to go deeper. And sometimes the deeper that you go, the more questions you have. And part of that for me is, let me go and see for myself. But I'm not just going by myself. I am offering the opportunity for others to be able to join us. So we are going to be doing a session in a couple of months where we'll talk about what that opportunity looks like and being able to go and visit Ghana with us. And we're not just going to Ghana just to go to Ghana, right? It's going to be a little bit of some fun stuff, obviously, right? Vacation. It's also going to be able to some time for us to be able to go and see some of the spaces that we need to learn and understand, like the door of no return, spaces where our ancestors were held captive before they were put on the boats. So just to be able to tap into those spaces spiritually, mentally, and physically, and to be able to talk about what that looked like and what that felt like. And then also we're going to do some community work. So we're going to be out there to work with some churches, possibly some schools, depending on when we decide to go. And then lastly, it's going to be a business opportunity. It's going to be a time for us to go out there to learn a little bit more about the economy. And we're going to be doing this before. We're going to be having some workshops and sessions before we go out there, because we want to go out there and be really informed before we go and do anything. We are looking, if anybody's heard of like land trusts that are being formed here in the United States, where groups of individuals are pooling money together to be able to purchase property, to manage the property, and to be able to invest in that property, whatever they think might need to go into that space. We are going to be doing that same thing when we go to Ghana. We're going to be having some conversations. We're going to be talking about what we want to do, what we want to invest in, buying property, identifying property. What do we want to put on that property? How do we want to build it out? We're going to be partnering with locals there and understanding what is missing from the community at that time. So there are going to be some workshops, there are going to be some trainings while we're there. We're going to be doing some networking activities. It is going to be a very robust time. So we are looking forward to being able to connect with those who are interested in being able to do that so that we can really bring back these ideas. And then also we want to invite them to come to our Juneteenth festival the following year as well. So this will be more of a relationship. And then Ghana is just the first place that we're going to go. We're going to Accra. And then we'll start to go to some of the others like Ethiopia and Egypt and all of the other countries. There are so many of the African countries, and learn a little bit of history in all of them. We're also going to be doing some trips to the Caribbean because the stories in those spaces are also going to be very prevalent to be able to share and to be able to understand as well. All of it is relevant in understanding where and how our culture has evolved and how we continue to evolve over the years. I remember going to Puerto Rico and we went to go do buggies and horseback riding. And we ended up taking a tour of the land, and the people were telling us about the land. And I was like, oh, this is a lot of land. Like, how were you able to manage this land? And it was like, oh, well, we are not really supposed to talk about it, but they had slaves. They smuggled slaves in to be able to till this land. And I was like, so those slaves, like, do you have names? Do I even know? And it was like, no, they paid off the government so that they would leave them alone. And so they was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, there's stories in every country that we are not even aware of. And this is a space now that's used for entertainment again, right? And I was pretty much being told to hush. And it was like, oh, people don't come here and ask questions like that because then, something may happen to them. And I was like, oh, it's like that. And it's like, yes, it is like that. People do not go deeper in asking some of those questions. But she was like, oh, but there are libraries and they're this and they're that. So there are places that you can still go and find information about things and learn, if there was 2,000 deaths of African American death or African deaths, and there's only 100 people on paper, there's a discrepancy, and you want to understand and learn a little bit more about that. So just talking about some of those kind of things, understanding what that means. Those are some of the trajectories of what Juneteenth is going to be doing and how that kind of plays into all of this, right? So next slide, please. I know I said a lot, but really excited about all of the things that we have coming down the line. So this basically just gives a comparison table, just talking about different flags. The Pan African flag created in 1920, the Juneteenth flag 1997, the colors, the Juneteenth flag red, white, and blue, the Pan African flag black, red, and green. The origins being for the Juneteenth flag, the U.S. Civil War and Emancipation, and for the Pan African flag being global Black unity. So being able to tie us all together as one. And then the purpose for the Juneteenth flag centered around celebrating Juneteenth, celebrating Black freedom in the U.S. specifically. And then the Pan-African flag is about uniting the African diaspora and all of the things that are a part of that. And again, like I said, it's not that we still claim a lot of things that are from Africa. So when we do our Juneteenth festival, we do a number of different things from that are both Pan-African and Juneteenth. We'll do libations where we're honoring our ancestors, where we'll talk about we might do a bowl or a sound bowl ceremony. We'll also read the general order, which is the Juneteenth part of things, how we're understanding what that is. We'll read the Emancipation. So we're talking about all of those things. So being able, again, to unify, to bring it all together under one umbrella so that we are able to understand the differences and the similarities just the same. Next slide, please. So the question is always, how do we celebrate Juneteenth? And Juneteenth is a space to, again, to always be celebrated, right? We went through a lot to get to this space, and we want to make sure that we're celebrating and honoring it for what it is, not just as a barbecue. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but we do want to make sure that it is still being that it's being cared for the way that it was created, right? So Juneteenth NYC, we do a parade where we are bringing different community members together, making it festive, making it lively. And this year and moving forward, we're going to be utilizing that as a space to focus on our rights, our institutional rights, right? What are our institutional rights? Our freedom of speech, our freedom to assemble, our freedom of press, our freedom of to petition, like all of those are our inalienable rights. So making sure that we are aware, again, utilizing every aspect of what we do to make it educational. We have our Black Kings Gala where we are honoring our African-American men, where we're talking about how they have been relevant and how they've been taken out of our houses as enslaved during enslavement. And now we are in a space where they are back in our communities and they're doing amazing things, and we need to highlight them for what they've been doing. And then we have a virtual summit, which is our educational piece. So these are the pieces and the pillars that we typically do. And then we have things for kids where we're helping to educate them, playing games, gamifications, like all of that stuff. This coming year, we're going to be talking about putting together a woman's gala or an event or award celebration where we're going to be honoring some of our women who are also doing some amazing things, and that'll be a panel discussion as well. So like we're going to be infusing the education, the award ceremony, and we also, as we have done in previous events, also been able to include our fashion show, but it's going to be with a twist. So more to come on that. So definitely stay tuned. Continue to follow us on Instagram. Stay tuned into our weekly lunch and learns that we have going on. We are always focusing on education. We're always focusing on entertainment and entrepreneurship, which is the biggest thing, because the only way to true freedom is having your own and being able to own your own business and be able to determine what financial success looks like for us, right? We have over 6 million digital impressions, over 10,000 attendees at our actual events, and we look forward to you continue to be a part of that to make that a lot bigger and better each year. Next slide, please. So we're winding down, we're coming towards the end. This is just talking about why symbols matter. Flags are visual calls to action. It allows us to be able to, like I said, identify who we are who and why we're relevant. And it's very important that we understand and we share both of these flags so that we can highlight the reason for the season, the reason and purpose behind them. They represent our identity, our pain, our triumph, and also our hope. Next slide, please. So community reflections. So this is what we'll typically do. And this is a session that I've done with colleges, I've done with professors, I've done with institutions, with corporate entities, where I'll bring them together. And afterwards, we will basically create a poem together. And basically that would be them interpreting what they heard throughout this entire process and being able to put it together in a collaborative way. So in this space, we're not going to do that on today, but I did want to share that is something that is available if you do want me to come and have a conversation with your institution, your business, your company. That is something that we are able to do. And to have a real true and transparent conversation about this. We started off a little bit differently, talking about the 4 agreements and why it's important to not make assumptions and to expect that people are showing their truest, their best intentions and not being negative. But these are different ways that we are able to continue to share this story in different spaces. Next slide, please. So how to stay connected with us, join us on Instagram, like, follow, and comment. Don't just like us. I need you to comment, guys. Like Instagram, we want to continue to stay relevant. We're in the next month going to be focusing on a lot of educational posts on our page. We've been doing for the whole month of July, just doing recaps of our events. But this one that we have coming up is really going to be focused on education. And so we really want y'all to follow us so that y'all can learn a lot of the tidbits. And some of them are going to be stuff that we have found and uncovered ourselves, and others are going to be reposts from other people who are doing the work. But before we share anything, we always make sure to find out and make sure that it is true history that is that we're sharing. So always, 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 please follow us, and we appreciate it. And I think that's the last slide. Is another slide? Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed and got a lot of information from what we shared on today. Like I said, it is a lot that is always being uncovered, a lot of things that are to challenge, to think about, to understand and put yourself into perspective. Those who experience 9/11, think about how you're going to tell your children, or how you're going to be able to put forward what we learned and what we experienced during that time. That is what we are basically trying to emulate from our past. Like, how did they experience, how did they understand things that happened during that time, and how did they show up? How did they respond to it? And this is all what we are working towards, creating the ideas and helping people to formulate the space of what that looks like. So we got a lot coming up. Again, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. This weekend, we have our event that we're doing here in Atlanta, Georgia, with Biz Savvy Artists. So if you are in the area, we encourage you to come and join us. This is the 12th annual Biz Savvy Artists Academy event. The event goes from 12 to 6. If you send me a DM message, I might be able to get you a complimentary ticket. I'm just saying. So if you're in the Georgia area and you would like to attend the event, tickets are $99, but I do have a couple of complimentary tickets that I would like to give away to those who have participated and been present for this. So definitely reach out and DM us on Instagram, which is Juneteenth NY on Instagram. What are we going to be talking about? There's going to be a lot of conversation about AI, how we use AI in our businesses to benefit us. Like there's going to be a speaker. She's going to be talking about how she turned $200 into $2 million just off of utilizing AI. I'm all ears. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't have $2 million in my bank account. So I want to be in a room so that I can hear from the people who have done it and see what they have going on so that I can learn more. So we're going to have panel discussions. We're going to have individually have a keynote speaker, a whole bunch of stuff. Go to BSAA Academy, what should I say? BSAacademy.com. so that you can see the lineup of all the different speakers, some really dope individuals, and it's something you really don't want to miss. So please, please, please go and check it out. Then we have next up for next week for our Lunch and Learn, we have our Summer Youth Employment Interns. I'm really excited to have them on. They have been doing such an amazing job. When I tell you that they are dope times 10, they have really, and we started off with 10. So these are the ones who made it through the storm, and we'll hear a little bit about how working with the Juneteenth and the Emoja team really is behind the scenes. So I'm sure they're going to be spilling the beans, but I'm looking forward to interviewing them. They're going to be doing presentations and talking about some of the workshops that they've been engaged in. We've had some of our board members come on, some of our Black Kings come and speak to them about different things, just about being a person of color, being an individual, being young. Like, what does that look like? How do you set yourself up for success? All of those things. So we're looking forward to them. And also talking about what they learned during their time here, what they were able to accomplish, and what they are going to walk away with. And then the rest of the month, we have some other really dope individuals that are going to be joining us for our Lunch and Learns. We have Mr. Miles Barron, who is Mr. Milo, who joined us. He is a new member to our board, as well as Chad Chambers. So Chad talks about finance, and Miles is going to be talking a lot about just being your authentic self. And that in itself, we were talking about a conversation today with our Black Kings about that authentic self piece, and being comfortable in your skin and in your hair. So we are excited about that and just looking forward to all of the conversations this month and moving forward. So if you haven't, please like us, follow us, comment, share, because we want to continue to grow the work that we're doing, and we want to make sure that people are walking away culturally educated about who they are and being able to look at themselves in the mirror and be happy with what they see. Thank you everyone for joining us. I appreciate you. We love you. Have a great Thursday and a great weekend, and we hope to see you next week. Bye.
So with the brand new album, and I'm talking hits.
Juneteenth Festival was a full celebration. This culture alive. Donate today. Please like, share, and comment. Register now at Juneteenth.ny.com. Thanks for watching. Share and comment. Register now at Juneteenth.ny.com. Thanks for watching.